Testing 1, 2, 3. Hi, Mark Daniels here. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to start today's webinar off a little bit differently. First, let me step back. When I first planned this webinar, I was in our Auckland, New Zealand office, and COVID-19 had not started. They did not even have patient number 1 yet in New Zealand. So a lot has changed since then, and we're in a very turbulent time. I always want to make sure my content or our content at Results is relevant to the times and relevant to the issues we face. And I actually thought about switching up this content a little bit, but I have to tell you, there's no better time to do a strategic plan than right now. 1, you have time on your hands. You're working from home. 2, you can connect with your other executives and include them in the process using a remote meeting tool like Zoom or whatever other tool you might use. 3, the world has changed. We live in a different world than we did 2 months ago. Certainly, if you had a strategic plan, that's great. I'm proud of you, and every company should have as a foundation, should have a strategic plan in place. However, the world has changed. It's time to take that strategic plan, rip it up, modify it, look at how the world is now, how your business is now, and put together a new strategic plan. So actually, it's a right time to be looking at doing a strategic plan. I originally planned this for our New Zealand audience because in New Zealand, their calendar year ends right around now. Their calendar year ends on March 31. So it's so important to revisit your strategic plan. In the United States, our calendar, most companies' fiscal year ends and on actually I'm going to restart this since nobody's here yet. Hi, Mark Daniels here. Thank you for joining me today. Wow, a lot has changed over the last 2 months. When I first put this webinar together and put it under a schedule, I was in Auckland, New Zealand, and it was February, and patient number 1 of COVID-19 had not even been recognized there in New Zealand. I always want to make sure that the content we're providing our audience is relevant, that my webinars are relevant, and that my discussions are relevant to the time, to what's going on in the world. And I actually thought about changing this up a little bit, but then I realized there's no better time to step companies through a strategic plan. Putting together a strategic plan now is more important than ever before. The world has changed. If you have a strategic plan, that's great. But it's time to modify it, change it, alter it. If you don't have a strategic plan, you need one more now than ever before, because you have to plan a strategy for your business to work yourself out of this and come through this growing and come out of this growing with explosive growth and get your business back in order. So without further ado, we're going to go into, it's a 4-week series, and I'm going to kick this off now. Of course, I went to the wrong slide, so I apologize. Go all the way back to the beginning. Pump. Okay. And we're going to do another take because there's nobody here. So we're going to redo this one more time for the US audience. Take 3. Hi, Mark Daniels here. Welcome to today's webinar. A lot has changed over the last month and a half in the world. When I first proposed this webinar, this 4-part series, I was in our Auckland office, Auckland, New Zealand office, and COVID case number 1 had not even occurred in New Zealand, or had not been recognized. World's changed a lot. I always try to make sure that the content that we're talking about is relevant to the time, to what's going on in the world. And I actually thought about changing this content, but as I reflected, I realized that there's no better time than now to revisit your strategic plan. The world has changed. If you have a strategic plan, that's great, but it's time to pull it out, adjust it, make modifications to it, look at what has changed, and make sure your strategic plan is aligned with reality. If you don't have a plan, you need one more than ever. You need to put together a plan so you can exit this very tough time in our business, in your business and in our business community. So you can exit with a strategic plan to come out of this with some explosive growth. So let's get going. So hi, I'm Mark Daniels. I'm not going to go into, I already did an intro, but I'm not going to go into all of the, all of my background. Really doesn't matter. I've been blessed with tremendous success, and it's what my knowledge is based on, years of running companies. I am going to touch on just 2 companies on this long list. 1979, I founded Computer Discount of America. In 1980, we did our first $1 million year of sales. It was phenomenal. Being a 22-year-old and a 23-year-old and having had a $1 million year was just incredible. But then 1981 came. In 1981 in the United States, we went into an economic downturn. They called it stagnation. And the economy was worse off than it had been since the Great Depression. And there I am with the company. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about what I did during that when I do a swaddle workshop, which I'm doing on Friday. I'm also going to repeat it next Friday. It'll talk about things you need to do during these challenging times. But my main message to you is that we figured out a way to rebound. We put together a really good strategic plan. And 1983, we did 3 million. I'm sorry, 1984, we did 3 million. 1985, we did 6 million. 1986, we did 11.8 million, nearly $12 million. So we survived, and we are all going to survive this crisis. I promise you that. We will get to the other side of this. One day, this will be behind us. Same thing happened to me when I was with Diligent. 2006, we went public. 2007 and 8, big financial issue in the United States and globally. Banking failures, and it was a mess. We were almost out of money. We had less than 1 month's money on hand after going public. We made it through that. We looked carefully at what needed to be done, what corrective actions we needed to take. We planned our way out of that. Planned and executed our way out of that. 2016, Diligent sold to private equity for $941 million. So a message to you is you've been trained for this day, for this moment, for this time in your life. All the business knowledge you've gained over the years, you have been training for what is upon us now. And you're going to help your company exit this and be better than ever. And that's the mentality we have to have right now. It's really so much sadness out there in the world and so much fear. It's our time to step up as leaders and exercise what we've been trained to do over the last several years. Be effective leaders. And so that's a little bit of deep messaging there. This is a 4-week workshop or webinar series. Vision, strategy, execution, and leadership. Vision is what we're doing today. A vision remains just a dream. You need to put together a strategy. We'll talk about that next week. Execution, you need to put together an execution layer so you know how you're tracking against your strategy. If your strategy is in fact successful, you need to be tracking that in an execution layer. Most important week 4, how do you become an effective execution leader? I really encourage you to sign up for this Friday's swaddle. It's also going to be repeated next Friday. You go to Results BI, go to webinars, and you'll see it listed there. What's different with a swaddle? Well, a SWOT, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's been done for years. It was invented in 1960. Well, the threat is here, and it's COVID-19. So what I'd like to do is teach you a methodology called swaddle. You look at your strengths, you look at your weaknesses, and then you pause. And you spend a significant amount of time looking at the trends. Well, obviously the trends are all downward right now, right? For the most part. Unless you're Amazon.com or some type of delivery service, the trends are down. In those trends, you look for the opportunities that exist. They might be, there might be a pivot you can make in your product offering. There might be opportunities that will be created when the virus passes. There might be opportunities that exist now. But to survive this time, you need to find these opportunities and leverage them so you come out of this with explosive growth. That's what I call swaddle. Strengths, weaknesses, trends. Find those opportunities and leverage them. Please, this workshop that I'm running on on Friday. It's going to be really powerful. I'm really proud of it. I've spent the whole week working on it, and I've exited these challenges before in my life. Nothing quite like this, but certainly I'm going to give you some real great information on how to get through this. Also, stay tuned to the end to learn about a special offer from Results today. So vision. What is vision? Vision is really made up of three components: who you are, why you're doing this, and what your long-term goal is. What are you trying to accomplish? So I like starting out with the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal, what your 10-year goal is. And I'll tell you why in a moment. But we're going to go through these core values, core purpose, and then your 10-year goal. So just a quick summary of these. Your core value is going to act as a moral compass. These are the behaviors that truly define your culture. The clear statements of how you expect every person in your organization to act, regardless of their role. This next bullet point is so important. It's a moral compass. It helps your staff make the right decisions, regardless of the challenge they face. See, if staff is aligned with what you believe to be your core values, they'll be making decisions similar to how you make decisions. Therefore, when you're not there, they will be making the right decisions because they're going to have your core values as a litmus test to hold up their decision against. So it's a moral compass and so important. The core purpose. That's truly the difference you want to make in the world. And I have a little picture of a bricklayer there. Compelling reason for employees to work for you beyond simply making the money. So let's get back to that bricklayer. Walking down the street one day, I see a guy, and he's laying bricks. I say, "What are you doing?" Looks at me like I'm some dummy, and he says, "I'm laying bricks." Okay. Next day, walking down the street, see another guy, same area, laying bricks. I ask him, "So what are you doing?" He said, "I'm building a wall." Okay. Next day, walking down the street, come upon somebody laying bricks, same building, same wall. I said, what are you doing?" "I am building a cathedral. People will come here in the time of sorrow. They will come here in the time of happiness. They will come here to celebrate. They will come here to worship. I am building a cathedral." See the difference? It's a compelling reason for employees to work for you. Not simply laying bricks, not simply building a wall, building a cathedral. So it's so important to articulate your core purpose to your staff. It provides meaning for all the work they do, and it keeps them going even during tough times. And we are in tough times right now. So you really need to pin down your core purpose and communicate it to your team. It transcends whatever your current product or service offerings may be and speaks to your passion. What do I mean by transcending what our current product offering is? Why? I don't know what our current product, what our offering might be in 5 years. So Walt Disney is a good example of this one. His main purpose was to make somebody smile. Cartoons first, then animations, then a full-length animation movie, then TV shows, then movies, amusement parks, music. What's consistent? They all make someone smile. Transcends whatever our current product offering is. So the product offering has changed and grown, but same underlying message. They're there to make people smile. Speaks to the difference your organization wants to make in the lives of the people it touches. Speaks to the difference your organization wants to make in the lives of the people it touches. The difference you truly want to make in the world. Your BHAG. What mountain do you want to climb? Now, I usually start out with the BHAG, and I'll tell you why. Before you put together a strategic plan, you need to know where you're going. And I'll tell you yet another little story. Alice in Wonderland, many of you might remember that story, but Alice is walking along and she comes to a split in the road. And sitting there, leaning up against the signpost, is the Cheshire Cat. And Alice says, "Which way do I go?" And the Cheshire Cat says, "Well, it all depends on where you're trying to go." And Alice says, "I don't know where I'm going." And the Cheshire Cat leans in and says, "Then any road will get you there." Before you plan a trip, now we have this navigation system, in our car, but before we used to plan a trip, my father would open the map, we'd draw a circle around where we're going, draw a circle around where we were, and we'd plan the route. Your BHAG is your point C. Point A is where you are now, and everything in between is what needs to do to accomplish your long-term goal. So to put together that strategic plan, you need to know where you're going. So I often start with the BHAG. What could your company be the best in the world at? The vision for the future that ideally inspires everyone in your organization. And again, a 10-year goal or a BHAG, whatever you want to call it, could be 8 years, by the way, it could be 20 years. It doesn't mean your organization needs to be as big as possible. Do you think Disney said, "I want to be a $1 billion company, media network with, listed on the stock market"? No. It's about building a great organization, however you define greatness. So, and one word here, I want to just, everyone. A vision for the future that ideally inspires everyone, not just the executive team. See, your core values, your core purpose, and your BHAG have to address your whole team, not just the executives, okay? Can go into core values a little bit more. Core values are the behavior that truly define your culture. They're going to be clear statements, not just a word, not singular words, but clear statements of how you expect every person in your organization to act, regardless of their role. And again, putting in place this moral compass, it will help your people make the right decisions, regardless of the challenges they face. So I'm going to give you a bad example here. Communication, respect, integrity, excellence. Pretty damn vague, if you ask me. Communication, respect, integrity, and excellence. Any guesses? Well, the company that we all remember from about 15, 20 years ago, Enron. Communication, they lied. Respect, they lost all respect. Integrity, really? And excellence, never. I believe some of those people actually serve prison time. Big fraud, big scam of a company. Communication was all false. Respect, you lost your shirt if you were invested in that company. Integrity, no. Excellence. All single words. This company is still in business. What's right for customers, people as a competitive advantage, ethics, diversity and inclusion, and leadership. Any guesses? Well, it's a bank that we all know here in the States, Wells Fargo. What's right for customers, leadership, ethics, diversity and inclusion, people as a competitive advantage. Well, what's right for customers? You know what they were doing? They were taking, if you had $1,100 in an account, they would split that, put it in 2 accounts. They wouldn't steal the money from you, but they'd open 2 accounts. You'd have 1,000 in one account and 100 in another account. Then you'd start paying bank fees on both of those accounts. And meanwhile, the guy who opened the account was getting a SPIF, Salesperson's Incentive Fund. That's what SPIF stands for, Salesperson Incentive Fund is what it first stood for. So they're getting a SPIF, some money. Bosses, the executives were getting paid a bonus. Wow, we opened 1,000 new accounts. Yep, I have that right in my bonus package. That if I open more than 1,000, I get a $5,000 bonus. What's right for your customers? Was that right for the customers? Leadership? No. Ethics? No. Diversity and inclusion? Well, there they probably click that box. You know why? Because they did it to all their customers, regardless of diversity. So anyway, sorry to make a bad joke about that, but really a sad story for this bank. They have survived. They're still clamped down with lots of regulations, more than other banks. Still watched very carefully, paid a lot of fines, and will emerge stable and successful again. But they learned a hard lesson. The guidance, vague words, as you put together your core values, vague words do not drive behavior. Generic aspirations do not create a winning culture at all. You can see, you need real core values that drive behavior. Meaningful core values that will help people make the proper decisions every single day. It needs to be spoken how they would talk. And not meaning to insult anybody that has these one-word general aspirations. If your core values look like Wells Fargo's, Enron's, or many other companies, you will have trouble driving behavior and hiring the right people. You could take your core values, write them out into a sentence, and recraft them. They can be the same core values. New England Patriots, Kraft Group. Apologize if it's not your football team, not mine either, but I will tell you that the Kraft Group has an incredible set of core values. My daughter worked for the New England Revolution, which is part of the Kraft Group. They own Kraft Group owns several different sporting franchises, as well as restaurants and other things related to sports. So rattle off these four real quick. Think and act like an owner. Exercise good character. Be inclusive and respectful. Focus on our products and customers. They've done really an admirable job here. Then they took another layer deeper. What does it mean to think and act like an owner? Well, to think and act like an owner, you think and act with an owner's mentality. You keep it simple and innovative. You drive results with intense work ethic, and you pay attention to detail. You're hungry, you move faster than the competition. See, they spell it out. Exercise good character. Take responsibility for your actions. Be open to new ideas and recognize your challenges. And I love this next one. If you have done your homework, don't be afraid to respectfully disagree with management. Well, I don't pay anybody not to disagree with me. I don't want a bunch of Me Too people, little mini me's running around. I want people that will bring me new concepts and new ideas. But read this. Do your homework. And if you've done your homework, don't be afraid to respectfully disagree with management. What a great line and in-depth spell out of exercising good character. Be humble and operate with an underdog mentality. Respect and abide by all applicable laws, policies, and regulations. Be inclusive and respectful. Welcome and appreciate diversity. Respect and be sensitive to the environment, and give back to your community. And I can tell you, because my daughter was an employee of the Kraft Group, every player, every person is expected to do community service. Some of them, the football players, it's actually in their contract. So expected. Look at it. So focus on our products and customers, understand and service all needs of all our customers. Deliver quantity and excellence at all levels with a culture of continuous improvement. Be brand ambassadors. What a wonderful, detailed set of core values. So I spent a lot of time on that, but it's so important. Let's skip the next slide because it's all blacks. Rugby team from New Zealand. Our company has an office in Auckland, New Zealand. Martha's Vineyard here. We're opening up one in Ireland originally over the summer. I might slide it to the fall, but we are still planning on doing that. Core purpose. It's a compelling reason, more than just making money. An employee isn't there just to make money, especially the younger crowd today. They need to feel like they're part of the organization. They need to provide meaning for the work, that they do. And this next bullet point keeps them going even during tough times. I know that's a repetition from an earlier slide, but it's so important to understand that when you state your core purpose clearly, and they understand it and embrace it, it gives them that extra edge they need to keep on going even during tough times. And we are in tough times now, people. Transcends your current product offering. We went into that in detail. Speaks to the difference your organization wants to make in the lives of the people it touches. So what's the difference you want to make in your customer's life? When you can make a difference in a customer's life, you are going to be a successful company. When you can make a difference in the world, you're going to be an explosive company. Think of the companies that have changed the world. Edison Electric, General Electric, the light bulb, Ford, the car, computers, Microsoft, Apple. So the difference you want to make in the world. Beyond the money, I call money a hygiene factor. Core purpose is way beyond the money. Money is just a hygiene factor. It will satisfy an employee, but it will not keep them motivated. And in fact, studies have found that clearly articulated core purpose leads to better results. This next one's important, especially on the West Coast, in California, where there's a lot of job turnover, everybody jumping from one company to the next. Studies also show that employees that are aligned to your core purpose are 3 times more likely to stay with your company. They report higher job satisfaction and they're more engaged. Your employees believe in making a difference. Why? Why does your company exist? What are you really passionate about? What's the difference you're trying to make in the lives of the people you touch? And what is the essence of what you do for customers? Best practices, again, it's not about the money. It's about the difference you want to make in the world. It's going to transcend your current product offering. Core purpose will describe the why, not the how. Those words there are wrong. Core purpose will describe the why, not the how. The how will change over time, but the why is going to remain consistent. And it's going to inspire all your staff, not just the management team. Provide clear context for strategic decision-making. In other words, when you're going to make a strategic decision, you're going to hold up the why as a litmus test. And if what you're doing is not aligned with the why, you won't do it. Would Disney make a horror movie? No. Why? It's not aligned with making somebody smile, right? You need to ask, will doing this help us towards our core purpose? And that's what having a clear why does for you. I love the 10-year goal part. I love doing this BHAG because, again, it's where I think every company should start. To land a man on the moon and return him safely back to Earth by the end of the decade. Once he stated that, they had to come up with a plan to do it. That was John Kennedy. A computer on every desk and in every home. That was Bill Gates and his partner. Enable human exploration and settlement of Mars. That's Elon Musk. What is a BHAG? A BHAG was a phrase that was, coined by business author Jim Collins. Good to Great, and he wrote so many books. I have them all on my bookshelf downstairs. But before we start the process of strategic planning, we need a goal. We need to know where we're going. It's got to be meaningful and compelling, and it's a vision for the future that ideally inspires everybody in your company. And 10-year goal BHAG could be an 8, could be a 20, but it is a long-term goal. And again, it's not about being big. It's about building a great organization, however you define that greatness. Some guidelines. What can you be the best in the world at? What are you passionate about? Also, remember I said point A is where you are now, your BHAG is C. I want you to start to put a B in the middle. And the B in the middle is, where do you expect to be in 5 years? In 5 years from now, how does your company derive revenue? In 5 years from now, what products or services do we provide? In 5 years, who are our customers? In 5 years, where are we serving geographically? And in 5 years, what will it be like to work for this company? In 5 years, what types of awards have we received? In 5 years, what are some of the numbers going to look like? So those are guidelines, and it'll really help you, because the next stage, next week, we're going to go through strategic planning. And strategic planning, you need to have this BHAG ironed out first. After this webinar, I'm going to email you a link to the BHAG workbook. I encourage you to fill out the BHAG workbook before we meet next week. It'll help you. Okay. Best practices for setting your 5 to 10-year goal. Meeting them a long time. It's non-linear. Don't have your CFO do it. And if you're an accountant watching this, I apologize, or if you're accountant listening to this, I apologize. My original degree's in accounting. But what we tend to do as accountants is take this year and logically figure out where it'll be next year and logically figure out. No, I want some aspirational goals in here. And I want a little bit of a reach in this 5-year goal. And it's got to be a measurable goal with an end date. No fluffy words. You have to be able to count them. You have to be able to understand it, quantify it. You need to be able to count them so you can measure progress each quarter. And again, don't forget to inspire your people, not just your management team. And it really sets you up for you're at point A. Now we're going to have some 5 to 10-year goals. That's B. And you have your long-term BHAG. That's point C. This is where we are, and this is what's going to need to happen next. And this next one's so important. If you don't believe it, your team won't believe it. You have to believe it. You have to be passionate about it. You need to truly believe that it's achievable, and your team will believe it to the extent you believe in it. It can outlive the involvement of the present leadership, as with, unfortunately, John Kennedy, who lost his life just a few years after he stated that goal. He never saw us land on the moon, not from this planet anyway. So it can outlive the involvement of the present leadership. So I'm going to do a little brief results BI infomercial, but I want to thank you for the time you've invested. I encourage you to stay with me for just a minute because I have a special offer for you. So first off, results BI includes up to 10 users now. We increased that a few months back. That comes to $1 a day, or 10 cents per user per day. However, in response to the current COVID-19 and business challenges that's created, we're offering 90 days free. It's a free trial, no risk. My agreement to you is we're not going to take your credit card until you're ready. There's no risk. You're not going to get hit with a bill at day 91 because it's going to ask you to key in your credit card at day 91. My other agreement is it's really simple. We guide you through putting together a strategic plan with a really easy tutorial, self-guided tutorial. We also are going to back that up with webinars over the next 3 weeks. So if you sign up today, you'll listen to the strategy workshop or strategy webinar, and then you'll go do it. You'll listen to the execution webinar, you'll go do it. You'll listen to the leadership, and you'll roll out your strategic plan to your company. Special offer today. Sign up for the one-page plan, and I will do a personal one-on-one, a 1-hour review of your plan. It's available only to midnight. Visit resultsbi.com and sign up for the $99. I'm sorry, the $30 per month offer. 90 days free is what I should be saying. And finish at least 80-90% of your plan. I will send you a link to my calendar because I'll see that you attended this workshop. This also goes to the people that could not attend it. Tell you what, I'm going to extend this until Friday night at midnight. So if you listen to this webinar, there are a number of people that signed up but did not make it today for some reason. So visit resultsbi.com, sign up for the strategic one-page plan. I think you'll find it very powerful. Remember, now's an ideal time to plan so you can explode out of this terrible time. So you can work through this terrible time with a strategic plan. It'll be a foundational layer that you really need to catapult you into success after this all is behind us. It will end. It's going to end. It's going to be behind us one day. I thank you all for your time. God bless you, your families, and your businesses through this very challenging time. Thanks again. Bye.